Well, since last week when the Supreme Court gave that, would I say, judgment concerning the argument between the federal government and state governors over the issues of financial autonomy to local government, and sort of directed that henceforth the federal government should pay directly to the third tier of government, rather through the joint accounts that used to be in place, when the state and local government used to share that account. So, yeah, of course, we have over 774 local governments in the country. And since that verdict, it means that henceforth, all funds will be directed to the local government. But then we've had the argument. A lot of people have raised their own reservation about it. But majorly, people have applauded that move from the federal government or the Supreme Court, which of course we do know that it was the federal government that actually started off this issue, But what again, how good is this? It has set a precedent. Where do we go from here henceforth? And how do we ensure that this local government itself, at the end of the day, will become an entity where a lot of people rely on them for the benefits of democracy and know that this is the first point of governance before we start pointing fingers at state or the federal government. Well, to discuss this with us is no other than Comrade Ayodele Adewale. He's the immediate past chairman of the Amuodofi local government area here in Lagos, and of course, a very vocal public affairs analyst as well. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Stein. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Do remember that you can be part of the conversation. You can send messages to our social media page that I mentioned earlier on at Rave Television. Use the hashtag #Rave, and of course, send messages to the WhatsApp number. Only don't call that number. Just send your message to us as the conversation goes on. But let me start with the recent uproar concerning it. We saw Ayo Fayoshi, the former Ekiti State governor, give his own side and said it will not work because you can't take the baby from the mother. And just yesterday, the governor of Oyo State as well, Makinde, had a press conference where he addressed it, and we saw how stiff he was against that particular verdict, and he went as far as say the federal government cannot tell them what to do, concerning the local government. As a former local government chairman, with all of that's going on, how do you see this playing out at the end of the day? Would we still have some state governors violating the instruction or the order from the Supreme Court? And what will be the backlash?
Thank you for having me once again. I think that that's part of democracy. People will have different shades of opinion, but the preponderance of opinion will definitely take sway. And if they want to hearken to their opinion, I think the next thing that should be done by Nigerians is to remove the immunity clause from governors. When the immunity clause is removed, then the EFCC can go in to forensically track who have been mismanaging the local government funds, take them to court, and persecute them. I think when that action is taken, everybody will be back on the table for good to support what is right. That local government be given their due, their rights as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution. There should be separation of powers. But again, if I want to think aloud, I'll think they're looking at it from the standpoint of that state have powers to create local government.
Sure.
They have powers to administer the administrative guidelines, put it together as a form of law in order to help local government to act appropriately. But the belief of our founding fathers in putting that document, which again is questionable, because we from the civil society believe that that document is not the people's will. It's a military decree that is turned into a constitution. But as such, we have found ourselves where we are. So if that document recognizes the fact that local government is a tier of government, right? Not an arm of government, is a tier of government, right? That also have elective leaders in it to run it, then it means that the people have surrendered their sovereignty to their elected representative, not only to manage trust, but to manage funds for the betterment of their space and to provide opportunities for people not some individual dictating how those funds will be spent. But the people have agreed on how the fund will be spent through a budget. And before the budget is put together, the local government ordinarily have what is called a consultative meeting with representatives of the people. Different demographic of interest are called to that meeting, both youth, women, old, professional, non-professional, skilled and unskilled people will sit down. Then the local government chairman will read out the draft budget on behalf of the executive and government of that local government. Then the people will look into the provision of those budgets, either to amend or agree as the draft is. Then the next thing the executive does is to send it to the local government parliament. You understand? Representative that you call councillors. They too do their oversight function by sitting and going through the budget. Sometimes they go into a retreat, right? It could take 5 days. They look at the budget, just as you do at the federal level. They look at the budget and they return the budget, whether as it was presented or amended. Then the executive and legislative agree on that draft document and they approve it and it becomes law. Upon that, the local government then reverts back to the people, calling them again during the signing of the budget. And everybody move to action.
An interesting word.
Well, landmark judgment on Thursday, by the Supreme Court, financial and political autonomy and all of that. But there's several questions have been raised by several people from different quarters. I mean, Jimmy talked about Mayo Fayose, Makinde, Nala Fenifere. A lot of people have come to backlash and everything. Now, several questions I want to ask concerning this. First of all, I would want you to help us understand. You were in the political structure, once a headliner in that particular political structure, which of course the 10th year of government as you were enumerated. Now, what hitherto was the political and financial demands of the local government? How did it exist, before this pronouncement, so that we can appreciate what is new now, the new that has come after 20 years, okay? And then secondly, what happens to the LCDAs? That's a big concern. We have LCDAs in Lagos State, we have LCDAs in Oyo State, and several other states have created governors, had created LCDAs for proper administration in the grassroots. What happens to these people? Another question is the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee. Okay, don't worry, I will bring it back if
I'm not a computer,
okay, no
but I'm trying to follow you. I don't have pen and paper.
All right, the first question, like I said, I want you to help us understand what was the system of local government administration before now, when states, when a payment had to go through the states had to, they had their states independent electoral commission to administer elections for those that did not have caretaker committees. So what did it look like during your time? Let me use that as an instance, and then so that we can be able to appreciate the new that has come. That's number one. Then number two, very important.
You've asked like 6 questions.
No. What I'm saying, what happened? Give us a rundown of the system, as it were before. You understand, so that we can appreciate the new that has come. Then second question, and I'm putting a stop to it there. LCDs, what happens to them? Because that's a big one. People have been asking, what happens to LCDs?
Exactly.
As a student of social realities and political history, I would take you back to pre-independence. The first local government in Nigeria was Ikore-Epene local government, and that was in the colonial era. Now, dovetailing to post-independence, more local government was created. And during those times, local government have always served their purpose. They've always generated resources, they've always applied their resources, and they've always had growth. It will be very difficult to believe that in those days, an Hausa Fulani man was a chairman of local government in the present-day Enugu state, right? An Igbo man, Mokego Kogwe, if I remember his name very well, was at a point the chairman of Lagos City, Lagos Island City, whatever it was called then, local government in Lagos State, an Igbo man. And it was during those periods that they did pipe-borne water. They provided it. They maintained environmental sanitation. They provided community health care, even agriculture. It was on that foundation that Chief Obafemi Awolowo also worked to create all of the milestones that he created in the Southwest, in the Western region. And it is in history that Chief Obafemi Awolowo also created this your kind of media platform, the first TV station in Africa, within 3 months. Right? The regional government had their taproot
On the grassroots.
on the grassroots through the local government structures and all of that, and they did wonderfully well. They were not working amorphously. No, they had their taproots, and they could use that to galvanize support, right, and goodwill from amongst the people. And the people were well galvanized towards understanding political realities, right, to the extent that they understood that the political administrators or government or leaders as at then had impact on their well-being. That was why they operated out of religiosity, out of ethnic question, to vote for people that are not even members of their tribe. Right? So that shows you the essence of grassroots government and all that. So if we must get it right, like the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is helping us to move towards that direction. And I believe he's also tapping from the lyrics of Nigeria We Hail Thee, in brotherhood we stand. And that brotherhood is to the taproot. The brotherhood is not about nationality. It's not about religiosity. It's about you and I. And where do you find you and I? It's at the local government level. And for them to operate well, they must be hinged to resource.
But I want to go back to what she said, the question that, because during you just took us back to this time where
For you to understand how
you know,
it was and where we are.
When you were the local government chairman
Yes.
of Amon Odofin, you know, how was it at that period? You know, was there any intervention? Was there? Oh, sorry
You can
about
see
that.
if local government are power
Sorry, sir.
generating company, who won't be like this?
Okay, so the thing is that
Let's wait for it to come up.
No, it's back. We can go on. So the question she asked, or what she mentioned, was that during your own time as local government, what did we have available at that period of time? You know, did we have any interruption from state governors or the state governor at that time? You know, involving themselves in matters of local government, especially when it comes to funding, or you were left to say, you know, this is your fund, even when it came from the state, but they allowed your administration to plan with the budget and do what you have to do within your constituency?
To be honest with you, Lagos State have always been a pace setter and trailblazer. We had access to our funds.
So they've been magnanimous.
They've been very, not, I won't use the word magnanimity, right? But they've always obeyed the rule of law, right? That is your right. Magnanimity is more like somebody trying to help you.
Okay.
You understand? It's not your right, but they are just bestowing on you. But they've hinged on the rule of law, and they understand the essence of building blocks, right? And that was why Lagos State have not held on to local government funds. Even when the federal, during President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration, seized local government funds, the state continued to maintain the feeding, the sourcing of funds to the local government. You know, local government derive 3 source streams of funds, of funding. Federal allocation, from state allocation, and from the internally generated revenue. So when the federal allocation was seized, the state continued to play its part, right? And the local government continued to generate funds. But it was not big enough for them to move as fast as they would have done.
Okay.
Now, when I was there, and I believe that one of the things that brought about the joint account thing, post-1999, was born out of the fact that some local government, instead of them to focus on the first line charge before any other matter. Now, the first line charge, one, is payment of salaries. Staff of local government, which also includes teachers. Those are very fundamental. You must pay it. And second is pension. Rather than do that, some of them will embark on projects that are not directly impactful
To the people.
to the people's welfare, right? Now, in Lagos, what we had as collaboration was that the fund comes in and is agreed jointly by local government helmsmen that we plug off salaries of teachers, salaries of staff, pensions, right? Even when I came in, there were backlog of pensions. So it was during our own time that we paid off all the pensions, all the backlogs. Then whatever that is left, we take it back home and use it for our development. I thank you for your kind words to saying that I've done this, done that. And for fact check, I always tell people, and thank God I listened to Dejibade Mosi, one of your colleagues then, to put together a documentary. Remember, I came in 2008, at 33 years of age, right? Now, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm not campaigning. I'm not campaigning. Now,
because of time,
I know, but our people are watching, and it will also help them through your medium. Let them go to YouTube, type Comrade Ayodele, Adewale, Positive Impact. Then you see a documentary put together within the 2 years of my first administration.
Let's quickly move to this question because I know people really want to know the answers. LCDAs, what happens to them at this point? Now, people say, are they going to be at the mercy of the state, the LGAs, that's their mother or parent LGA? Are they going to be at the mercy of the state? What's going to be their forte? Are they going to be dissolved? What do you think, it's in the offing for LCDAs right now?
Before I answer your question, you must also respect the Constitution as it is now. Okay. The state has powers to create more local government, but through a referendum. The people must agree. Now, there are parameters for creating more local government. And the first parameter is population. Either you like it or not, Lagos State is overpopulated. People come into Lagos in droves every day without knowing where to stay or where to live. Now, that is why you go all around.
So the 20 official or formal local government is not enough?
It's even not enough, because when more states were created, Kano State, they brought out about 2 or 3 states from Kano, and Kano still maintained the same number of local government. When those states were created, ordinarily it will tell you that people have been carved to other states. So local government in Kano needed to have been reduced, right? Now, the same allocation, structure, ratio, is still being used to get federal allocation and to their local government, whereby Lagos remains same, right? Now, to answer your question on LCDAs, nothing will happen to the LCDAs to make Lagos a return back to how it was before. Because the LCDAs, as it is now, I consider them as local government. I think for the purpose of convenience, political convenience, they decided to call it local development council areas. But in reality, Lagos is protected to have created it, looking at the parameters.
So how do they get the allocation now?
The allocation comes from the mother local government.
Okay, that's what's going to happen.
Every year, even while I was there, every year, the LCDAs will write out their budget, following the same method I've told you, right? Calling people, talking, doing all of that before it is firmed up through the parliament, right? They will do same and send their budget to the mother local government. The mother local government will embed it, or the local government of origin, which I call mother local government. They will embed it in their own year budget. So when resources come, they allocate to them. But they also are free to generate their resources.
Outside the allocation.
Outside the allocation. And I'll give you an example. While I was there, Shell has, I think they have an estate or what have you, at Oriade local government, right? But in the books of Shell, it is Amu Wardofe local government. And this money is run into hundreds of millions, right? Now, they've not paid for quite a while. They now pay the money to Amuwo Odofin in our own account.
Okay.
And what I simply did was to write the check back to Oriade that this company has its siting in your local government. It's out of place for me to hold on to that fund. And I returned that fund to them.
Yeah.
Quite interesting, because again, you are one individual who took local government administration seriously and wanted and left your landmark there. Some other local government chairmen, let's be frank, we've seen some of them being, live luxurious lives. They don't even live within the local government and the rest. And this is one of the reasons why some are saying that they need to be under the control of, state governors. Now that this has been, the funds is coming directly to them, how do we checkmate some of these local government chairmen who now they don't even have to wait for the state government to give them the funds? It's coming directly into their accounts.
And obviously, it's more money coming
into their coffers as well. How do we checkmate that they do not go on a spending spree that will be inimical to the progress of the people?
You see, when we're talking on public populist platform like this, we must also be mindful of our audience, that whatever we say is taken back as informed information, that we also inform their decision. Kindly show me tell us one local government chairman that will agree to your submission that they want to be under a state government that will not allow them to access their fund and use it for the benefit of their people in accordance to their electoral promise. Mention one. Sir, mention one. I'm drawing from your what you proceed.
I think generally what
where I'm coming from is checkmating those local government chairmen.
Yeah.
I will not mention a local government, but we've seen some local government.
You're an authority, sir.
Sir, let's just do that.
Maybe you should rephrase your question.
Yeah, I want to rephrase the question.
You can be likened to an oracle, quote and unquote. So whatever you say should be factual.
Well, okay, but let me rephrase the question this way. We have, of course, over time, seen local government chairmen spend funds that are meant for the people in a way that it shouldn't be. Now, at that moment, the funds came from the state because we still had the old arrangement. Now that it's coming directly to them with, of course, more funds, my question is, how do we checkmate these local government chairmen not to misappropriate these funds at the detriment of the people?
Now, let me help by bringing up my thoughts, a solution towards that. The people are the owner of power, right? They've only surrendered it to you for a cycle of time. In some states, it's 3 years. In some, it's 4 years, right? You are a custodian of trust. For the people to have done that, they must go more mileage to monitor the activity of the local government. They must monitor. Civil society organizations must help to monitor. And I commend your station, Rave TV. I commend you guys so openly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
To bring out such topic for people to be enlightened. Your phones is a very strong weapon, right? Information is a strong weapon. Even the man that has the biggest arsenal don't want to be caught on phone doing wrongful things.
That's true.
It shows you how powerful information is. So everybody must monitor. And stations like you, as a means of civic responsibility, must create a program, maybe once a week, on local government matters.
Yeah.
And the more you bring it on the front burner, the more scared local government hemsmen or state hemsmen or even at the federal will be, because they know you are aware. And the government the central government have gone extra mile by publishing the allocation to each local government monthly. So you know how much is coming in. Organizations like CIRAP, CDHR, CLO, even community-based organizations, even religious-based organizations. Recently, I was invited to a program by the Catholic Mission. It was held in Unilag. You know, I was brought in as a resource person, and I represented one of the kings in Lagos because the king called me to go and represent him. And there I met them because they have engaged me once to go and train local government councillors in Akwa Ibom State.
Okay.
All their councillors about 4 years ago, which I did. So we need more of these programs out there.
I wish we had more time because there's still lots of issues to address concerning this local government. Time
maybe
is
we'll
not.
have a part two.
Maybe we'll have a part two.
Not just me. There are so many local
of course.
governments.
The part two with you first, and then
even in Lagos. There's lots of them doing well.
We intend to do that, talking about even focus on the local government. Now that we do know that funds come directly to them, they have that financial autonomy. But I'll say thank you very much to Comrade Ayodele Adewale, the immediate past chairman of the Amodofin local government area here in Lagos. Thank you very much for finding that time to join us here.